Hello, welcome back to this week's edition of the Wednesday 5:30 Mindfulness Meditation Half Hour. Name's Casey. Good to see you as always. The practice of non-attachment is one that um, is very counterintuitive at first because one of the earliest conditioned responses we have as humans, and really just as living beings on this planet, is to find a personal gravitation towards what feels good and deep aversion or resistance to things that don't feel so good. That's one of the most conditioned responses early on. We think of babies, and when they get sad or happy, it's usually based on pretty obvious stimuli, right? In terms of what makes them feel good, safe, what makes them feel, you know, um, angry or sad. It's the emotional components are pretty obvious. So from the earliest stages of being human, and again, this is all living beings as well, we tend to try to hold on to what feels good, push away what feels bad. But really, that causes a lot of suffering. Even if good feelings are present, if we try to hold on to those when they leave, as they inevitably do, because everything always changes moment by moment, breath by breath. If we try to grab onto a moment, there's suffering there because to try to hold on to constantly changing phenomena causes endless suffering. And whether it's um, a positive or negative, or Thich Nhat would say pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, the three types of feelings. Regardless, the uh, idea is non-attachment is what allows us to experience these things in real time and allow them to come and go, knowing that the sooner we let go, the more we're able to receive. And I find myself in the winter time in particular, it fascinates me. It's like clockwork. As soon as the time changes, my levels of anxiety just shoot through the roof. My mental health takes a nosedive. And it's kind of like for half the year, sort of. And I've recognized that with the time change and the weather change, and you start to get cooped up inside. It amazes me that for some people this is their favorite time of year. I never understood what that was about, but um, it just goes to show the different stimuli that some people appreciate and others have less of a positive affection towards it. But um, feeling things like anxiety or depression, or taking on these difficult emotions, unpleasant emotions, can be at times very overwhelming. And it's human to think that, oh my God, this is never going to pass, but it does. And whether or not we fight with it, it will pass. But if we practice non-attachment, letting it go and recognizing, oh yeah, this is an experience that I'm having, I'm just going to let it happen and go through, that changes the dynamic that we have with these emotions, changes the dynamic that we have with how we experience or express our emotions. And within the safe space of mindfulness and meditation and stillness, within that safe space, we're able to kind of explore and rework a lot of these dynamics that we have or have had since, oftentimes the earliest age that we can remember, and even before that. There's a great poem by William Blake, the 19th century writer, artist, really a Renaissance man. Um, and it's a great poem about the uh, benefits of non-attachment. And he says, he who binds himself to a joy does the winged life destroy. But he who kisses a joy as it flies lives forever in eternity's sunrise. I'll say it one more time. I think it's really beautiful. He who binds himself to a joy, aka he who attaches himself to a pleasant emotion or pleasant experience, does the winged life destroy, find suffering there. But he who kisses a joy as it flies lives forever in eternity's sunrise. So recognizing how you're feeling is very, very important. Figuring out how to non-identify from that through the practice of non-attachment is just as important. And very, very beneficial, because then these emotions are not ruling us. These emotions are not overpowering us or creating the narrative. We create the narrative. And there's a tendency this time of year for me to experience a little more emotional volatility, anxiety in particular. I just feel it building. And when it goes away, it feels really good. It's like a breath of fresh air. I think, oh man, there it is, right? I've talked about the circle and how it always comes around eventually, right? We always come up for air eventually. Recognizing where you are on the circle. Oh yeah, this is the anxious part. This is the angry part. This is a happy part. This is, my perception is expanded. My perception is wide right now. My perspective is open. And recognizing, oh yeah, my perspective is very narrow right now. I'm experiencing a lot of anxiety, a lot of mind-made stress, and that translates into your physical and physiological experience. It feels good, and I find myself thinking, oh man, if I could only hold on to this feeling of, you know, feeling safe or feeling good, and not have to feel anxious again, that would be great. And in theory, that would be great. It's not very realistic. It's more beneficial and much more effective to recognize, oh yeah, I'm feeling good right now. Let me sit with it, but I'm not going to try to control it in any way. I'm going to practice non-attachment. Recognize how it feels good or pleasant in the moment. Recognize when that feeling leaves. Recognize when others come. Thich Nhat Hanh talks about your body being a house. And throughout the day, you get multiple house guests in the form of emotions, thoughts, physical sensations, always different stimuli for us to work with. And throughout the day, you have various guests coming into the house. Some of the guests, you may really enjoy their presence. Other guests, you think, oh God, I cannot wait for this guest to leave. But you let them all come in, hang out, walk around for a little while, and then they leave, as they always do. They're not going to move in permanently, fortunately. But if you try to bar the door, right, if you try to block the door and barricade the windows, they will find a way in. And then it's going to be a completely stressful situation when they inevitably come, when these emotions shift. So to practice non-attachment is to keep the door unlocked, so to speak, to our house, to recognize that we're safe within the safe space of meditation. We get to relearn or recondition ourselves to treat these emotional experiences with a little more grace, a little more mindfulness, a little more kindness for our experience. Because when it comes to anxiety, your mind is just trying to protect you from dangers that probably don't really exist. So it's working overtime. And I used to fault my mind a lot for being anxious, but really it's just trying to protect me. It's not doing a very good job, but I appreciate the effort. But as an adult and as someone who's meditated for 8 years or something, practicing, and someone who's been able to rework a lot of these relationships that I've had with these emotions, I think, well, I don't need to get mad. I don't need to try to hold on or manipulate this emotion in any way. As I breathe in, I know I'm breathing in. As I breathe out, I know that I'm breathing out. Spend a little extra time on the exhale to downregulate your nervous system, activating the parasympathetic nervous system as we breathe out. And we relax. We relax. We let these experiences into the house. We let ourselves experience these emotions, whatever they may be, practicing non-attachment, allowing everything to come and go naturally. And when we do that, we live forever in eternity's sunrise. The joy returns again and again, as do other emotions, but the joy returns again and again, and we can actually appreciate that because it's impermanent. We can think, oh, this is a really nice, unique sort of experience because I know it's going to change. So the way that we deal with our moment by moment situation changes everything. And the more mindful we are, the more conscious we are. And the more we practice non-attachment, which is just letting go, recognizing where we are and staying with the breath and allowing it to go. The breath is one of the most impermanent things and also one of the most constant things. You never take the same breath twice. Your entire lifetime is one breath after the other, right? So we accumulate our breathing over our lifetime, however long that may be. So noticing where you are on that emotional circle, so to speak, noticing when you come up for air, if you feel like you've been drowning in anxiety or stress or whatever, coming back to your breath and not binding yourself to any emotion, whether it be joy, stress, sadness, allowing these things to come and go, allowing yourself to feel it completely in the moment while not trying to hold on or push it away. That's a practice of non-attachment. And that's a big, big takeaway from our meditation practice, which is what we're going to practice right now. So 15 minutes, find a comfortable seated position, start to notice your breath, long spine, and we'll see you in a little bit. Take a few deep breaths on your own. Whenever you're ready, gently blink your eyes open. It's important to recognize that as living beings, we have a natural conditioned tendency to pursue and try to grab onto pleasant stimulus, to avoid and try to push away negative stimuli. And within that pattern is also a tendency to ignore neutral stimuli, just let it pass by without any kind of conscious recognition. But when we start to realize the suffering that's wrapped up in these tendencies, these conditioned responses, we can start to take a step back and allow ourselves to practice letting go, not attaching to any particular emotion or thought. We start at a very granular level, a thought, an emotion, we let it come and we let it go. With this practice, we start to build on it. And then eventually, some of the most challenging situations in our lives suddenly become more manageable because we've practiced at, again, a smaller level, not attaching ourselves to either the situation or the outcome. Just practicing non-attachment in general gives us the ability to see the bigger picture a little bit easier. That's the power of the practice, and we get that opportunity every time we sit down to meditate. As always, thanks for sharing your practice with me. Hope to see you soon. Thanks.